Hey everyone, so this is going to be the super quick video on COUNTIF. So I'm going to use the customer feedback sheet that we used from session 1 and session 2 actually for this because it has some numerical data and some non-numerical data, and we can use both of those with the COUNTIF function. So let's get started with the first 4 questions, which are all on a 1 to 5 sliding scale. Um, so we did this in session 2, and we actually messed with it a little bit at the end of session 1. But basically, what's here is there are a couple questions from a survey that say, "Are you comfortable with such and such?" And it's on a 1 to 5 scale. So 1 is least comfortable, 5 is most comfortable. So what we want to do here is we want to count the number of 1s and 5s for each one of these. And we're going to make some graphs with it later, but maybe not necessarily in this video. So what I want to do here is I want to copy these titles and paste them down here so we have a place that we can make our actual table. And then, so all the questions are here. We probably want to wrap text here so that it's actually readable, and maybe I'll make them a little bigger. Yeah, so we have our questions here, and the scale again is 1 through 5. So on this side, we're just going to put in column A, we're going to put 1 through 5. So now we have every question, and we're going to have the number of 1s here, the number of 2s here, etc. So what we could do is we could go up here and count the number of 1s, 2s, and 3s, and then input them manually, or we can use COUNTIF. So the COUNTIF function is equals COUNTIF, and then you highlight the range. So range is the first part of this, the range that you're trying to count. So we highlight this range here, and then comma, the criteria, which is what we're trying to count. So in this case, it's 1s, right? So we click 1 or arrow over to it, close parentheses, and press enter. So as you can see, we have 2 1s in this range here, which you can see they're right there. So that's how COUNTIF works. And if you want to, you could obviously go down here and type in the same formula, but we're trying to be as efficient as possible. So what we want to do is we want to modify this formula so it can be pasted not only down, but also across. And that's part of the reason you'll see in a second why we pasted these down right below these is, and with the same spacing, is so that this is possible. So what we want to do is we want to think about when we paste this formula down and when we paste it to the right, the references are going to move, right? But we want them to only move in the ways that we want them to move. So there are 2 parts to this, the COUNTIF. There's the range itself and the criteria. So the range, which is B2 to B42, which is this blue part right here, what we want this to do is we want this to move over, right? We want it to move over when we paste it left and right, but we don't ever want it to move up and down. So we don't want the rows to move because that's up and down. So we're going to lock the rows, but we're going to keep the columns the way they are because we do want the columns to move, right? So we lock the rows here. And then this reference, the criteria, the second part, we want it to move up and down, right? But we never want the columns to move because we always want it to go up and down only within this column. So in that case, we lock column A and we press enter. So now when you copy this and you paste it across, if you look in the actual formula of one of these, it did exactly what we wanted it to do. So it got pasted over 4 this way. So this moved over 1, 2, 3. Well, sorry, I guess it got pasted over 3, but it moved over the correct amount to the right, but it didn't move any up or down. And this one did exactly the opposite. It moved downwards, but it didn't move any left and right. And that is how you efficiently do a COUNTIF for a data set like this. So what I'd like to look at now is there are some other non-numerical questions in here. So I think your data set might not have this empty column, but if it doesn't, go ahead and insert a column. So highlight a column and then insert it here and make an empty column because we're going to want to count down here for this stuff. So what I want us to do again is copy these questions, which is what day works best for the Zoom call and what time works best. So we're going to copy those and we're going to paste them in the same spot down here. So each one of these questions, I think there were three possible options, three possible answers for each one. And we could type those out if we want, but a really easy way to do it and to make sure you know how many answers there are and to have the formatting all correct is what I like to do is I'll copy this. So copy it and then paste it down here. And what you're going to want to do is now obviously you have every answer, but you want to go to data over here and then remove duplicates. So it says 38 duplicates removed, 3 unique values remain. So the 3 unique values that are the possible answers are what remain. So that prevents us from typing this in wrong and having the count function work incorrectly or something like that. So we're going to do exactly the same thing for this range. We're going to copy this range and we're going to paste it down here. And we're going to go to data, we're already in it, and we're going to remove duplicates. Click OK. Same thing, 38 duplicates found and removed, 3 unique values remain. So these were the possible answers for this question. Again, you could have typed them in, but you risk possibly messing up the formatting of the answer when you're trying to do the count function, which is important. So exactly the same thing that we did over here, over here. So equals COUNTIF. We're going to highlight the range. So this is the day question. So we're going to highlight this range, right? And then comma the criteria, which is Wednesday, and press enter. So we have 13 answers that are Wednesday. So it works exactly the same way with non-numerical data as it works with numerical data, which is really nice. But again, you want to think about, I'm going to paste this down. I'm not going to paste it over this time because I guess technically I could, but the problem is this time I actually want this to move. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to we'll just lock the actual column right here. And then we don't need to really lock anything because we're not pasting it left and right for the criteria. So you do that and then paste it down. So now you see you have 13, 13, and 15 for those. And now you can do exactly the same thing over here. So equals COUNTIF. I'll scroll over a little bit so you can see it a little better. Equals COUNTIF. You're going to select this range for this question, comma, this is the criteria that you're looking for, right? Press enter. So you have 18 for that, for no preference. So again, we're going to lock everything in this range because when we paste it down, we don't want it moving up and down, right? And then it doesn't matter if we lock the criteria because it's only going down, right? So paste that down, and now you have your answers for all of these. So you should be able to see if you highlight over all of them, the sum is 41. That's funny, sum 41. Anyway, so all of these, if you look at all of these, the sum is always 41 because there were 41 answers to the survey itself, which is a good way of checking to see if you have the correct number. One thing that could be useful too is like, for instance, here I'm going to do, here I probably want the sum, or I probably want a percentage for this chart. I think that would make sense if I wanted to do this, that I would want these to be available to be displayed as a percentage instead of just a whole number. So obviously there's 41 for each of these, right? Which is another way. If you just do a little sum function, you can make sure you have a little check down here to make sure that the COUNTIF went correctly. But if you want to do a percentage, remember, Excel's just a big calculator. All you have to do is equals. So we're doing the percentage of ones for this, right? So equals this divided by the total, right? Press enter. So you get 4.9%. So again, you got to think about what you want to lock if you're going to paste this all the way across. So we want this to theoretically move left and right. I mean, technically they're all the same number, but like we do want this to move left and right, but we don't want it to move up and down, right? So up and down is rows. We're going to lock the rows. And then this one, we want it to move everywhere. We want it to move down and left and right, right? So we don't even lock it. So copy that, paste it, And now you have the percentages for each one. And if you want to, you can do a sum of these, because they should all sum to 100, which they do, which is always nice. And if you'd like to, you could also do the same thing over here. So you do total uh, equals sum these all up, and then you could copy this and paste it down here. I guess I'll paste it down here to make it consistent. Equals this divided by this, and then you want to lock the H51. And then if it's not formatted like a percentage, then you just go to the home tab and hit percentage. And I'm going to add a decimal place here with this. Copy that, paste it down. Again, you should see it sums to 100%. And a lot of this stuff isn't necessary. This is steps beyond just COUNTIF, but it's nice, especially if you're trying to get used to locking cells. It's nice to just practice it over and over and over again. So we're going to copy this formula because it's the same. It's just summing what's above it, right? And then we're going to do equals this divided by this, and we're going to lock that with F4. And then we're going to paste this down, and then we're going to make it a percentage and add a decimal place. So now you have your data sliced how you want it to be. Well, how I want it to be, at least. And now you can go about making charts with it or whatever you like, which is easy enough. You just highlight it and insert. We'll probably do maybe do a pie chart on this one. Or we could do, I don't know. I don't really like pie charts. Maybe do a bar chart. There you go. And we can do the trick that we did last time with these charts, whereas because we aligned all of these together, we can easily format this however we want, which it doesn't matter. You can do this however you'd like to do it. I'm going to make these purple. I'm going to reduce the gap width so they're bigger bars. I'm going to add data labels. And then we can copy this if we want to, and then paste it as many times as we want, and then just drag over the reference right here, the bar or the block references, and copy it again, paste it again, pull it over one more, copy it, and then paste it again, pull it over one more, and now you have 4 charts that display all of this information. And if you wanted to, you could also make charts for this stuff if you wanted just absolute values instead of percentages. But yeah, I hope that's helpful to show that you can easily display, or you can easily use COUNTIF in multiple different types of data. And it allows you to slice things very quickly to get data display how you like it.